Being 8:30 a.m., we'll call this meeting of the Nacogdoches Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors to order. First item on our agenda is to consider approval of minutes for February 22nd board meeting.
I move acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments, concerns about the minutes? All in favor of approval as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is a financial update from our secretary, Katie.
Good morning. Our assets, we have our checking and savings account, First Bank and Trust, $93,079. Bancorp South, our reserve, $186,233. Citizens First Savings CD, 6 months, $21,805. Commercial Bank of Texas, special activities, those are our not restricted funds, $43,266. Petty cash, 100. Regions Bank CD, 14 months, $33,718. For a total checking and savings of $378,203. Under our fixed assets, we have $221,439.87. Other assets, we have due from the Nat Music Festival sponsors $2,908.92. Due from IRS, $2,179.39, which is a credit. Membership dues receivable, $2,450 for a total of $3,179.53. Our total assets are $602,823. Under our current liabilities, most of that is all payroll and related taxes, $654.82. Our net assets are restricted assets, $290,148. Unrestricted, $415,183. Excess of restricted revenue over or under expense, $103,164 for a total net assets of $602,168. For a total liabilities and net assets of $602,823. If we move over to our statement of activities, whenever I was reviewing this, I didn't see anything that was unexpected or out of the ordinary. Our total unrestricted revenues for February, $126,359.34 versus our year-to-date, $261,121.60, and our annual budget is $594,150. As I went through, like I said, I went through all of our categories with expenses with personnel, administration costs, our sales and marketing and visitor services, and I did not see anything that was unexpected or out of the ordinary. If anyone has any questions, myself or staff can answer those. But our total expenses were $29,023.93, and year-to-date, $364,285. And for versus our annual budget at $594,150. Excess of restricted revenue over under expense. Month to date, $97,335.41 versus our year to date, $103,164.21. Does anybody have any questions on expenses or income?
Katie, what's the timeline on the music festival stuff?
We have invoiced some of the sponsors. There's some changes this year. We're going to be having quarterly music festivals, mini-NAC, and then a large annual festival, and the sponsorship packages have been redone to coincide with that. We also have a couple of large sponsors that are statewide that are contributing this year. We are waiting on our bank account to be set up because we've got to get our entity approved from the IRS before we can accept funds, but that shouldn't be any day. Once we can accept funds, the first thing we'll be doing is paying the CVB.
Okay. Any other questions on the financials? Okay, thank you. Next order of business is to receive the audit review from 2013-2014, which Ms. Diana Haney has spent a significant amount of time putting together for us. Not only time, but a lot of work. So I'm going to turn it over to Diana and let her tell us where we were way back when.
That's correct, where you were way back then. The audit report's in the brown blue note folder here. If you'll go back, it's 3 pages back, which is page number 2. It's my opinion page. The opinion that you have received here is a disclaimer. Now, a disclaimer is I have expressed no opinion on these financial statements. Down in the 3rd paragraph, it says basis for the disclaimer of opinion. And I'm going to read a couple of sentences here, and it explains why. The Nacogdoches Convention and Business Bureau has not maintained adequate accounting records for the year ended September the 30th, 14 and 2013. I am unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence on accounting transactions to determine the balances in the financial statements were fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles in the U.S. In other words, there was not sufficient enough evidence, enough supporting documentation to base an opinion here. Now, I make that statement here, but I'm also going to mention here great strides has been made to upgrade these financial statements. I'm going to bring up just 3 or 4 issues here, or items here. Number 1, the board has been revamped. It's now it's more in line with the mission of what the CVB is supposed to be, and that is to encourage, enhance, and promote tourism in this area. The second thing, the chart of accounts, it has been completely redone to adhere to a nonprofit organization. There's a difference between nonprofit and a business type entity here. Nonprofits are a little bit different. But those, you have a budget now. You've had a budget before, but you have budget comparisons here back to the items that is approved annually here. The big thing here is that you have limited employees. You don't have a big staff where you can have certain individuals doing tasks. You have a minimum employees, but you have to have into effect checks and balances. Internal control has to be maintained. You don't need one person handling all of the financial accounting data and presenting that information to the board. There needs to be checks and balances. And what you have now, you have checks and balances within this organization. The bills are paid weekly now. You don't have any accounts payable. They're paid each week as they come in. You are current on all of your payroll taxes. You are current on all of your annual tax returns. All federal, state tax returns and reports are current. They are up to date. There is which is what you had back 2 or 3 years ago. You try to make a comparison of those financial statements now to what you have now. There's no comparison. Strides have been made to adhere to generally accepted accounting principles here. I've been very pleased to see the initiative that was taken to correct these problems and everything, and they have been corrected. So you've got, and I've even looked into the next couple of years to look at what the internal control, the checks and balances. You have them in place now. But you've come a long ways from these financial statements here. But basically you have a report that I could not express an opinion on because of the lack of some of the accounting records that was in place at that time, which is totally different now. That's all I've got to say, short and to the point.
Does anyone have any questions for this evening? Thank you.
One more item.
Yeah, we do. For those of you who weren't here a couple of years ago, it's a whole different world. It was an adventure.
What should we as a board do with this information, if anything?
I don't think there's anything to do other than accept the report as delivered. We're going to have one other item that is an action item, however, that kind of finishes this all up. And that is item 5, which is a recommendation from our accountant to change from cash to accrual basis. And that is going to be an action item. Would you like to explain exactly what that means, if anybody's not aware?
When the organization was originally set up, it was set up as a cash basis of accounting with the IRS, which means that you only recognize income when you receive it, and you recognize expenses when you pay it. You don't, if you have a receivable out there, you don't really know about that until it's recognized on the books. And when you look at an accrual basis of accounting, you have a better understanding of what your whole financial situation is. If you've got a bill that's due, you set it up as either a payable or a receivable. But it'll give you a better idea of where the CVB stands at any point in time there. And to be able to do that, you've got to go back to the IRS and make an election to get for them to approve the accrual basis of accounting. And that's what is presented to you here today.
Okay. So the recommendation is to change the CVB accounting basis from cash to accrual. So would we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion?
Is there any chance that does the IRS ever say no, that you can't do that?
I've never seen them. They're effective this year that you're in.
I think this is really the last piece, I think, to giving us really good, accurate financials, which have come an awful long way. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of changing the financial accounting basis from cash to accrual, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I have a few more tax returns.
Thank you. Committee reports. Katie, you have anything going on?
Well, the main thing that has needs to be done is just handling things. Audits, and Diana's going to get started on the next 2015 audit coming up, but she's done most of the work on that, so, and that's been a lot of hard work for her, so we appreciate her.
We will have our 2015-2016 audits done by Diana Haney as the last bit of catch-up. And then we will move for our fiscal year 17 audit. We will go back to our system of using the same auditors that the city uses. And so we'll be back on task at that point. Tracy, what's going on with leisure?
Well, first let me say congratulations to you two, because, I mean, this whole transformation, this whole accounting transformation occurred under your watch, and it sounds like we're right on track. And well done. Okay, so my committee's formed, and then I went and opened the company, and so I haven't had time to do anything on this CVB board. Thankfully, Joanna's kind of, running with things. And she and I are going to meet today, but hopefully I'll have more to tell you the next time we meet.
Okay. Mr. McLaren is out of the country, I understand. Shirley, what's going on with sports?
I did have a meeting with the bowling coach, the SFA bowling coach, and then we met with Mary Frances Bradford from NEDCO just to discuss any opportunities that might be in place for any sort of bowling tournaments, either for the leagues that, adult leagues that routinely meet, or either that or some youth camps that we might bring in. That option's pretty limited, I think, by our current facility. I don't know, at some point, if we might be able to expand those offerings, but kind of didn't, come up with any good plans there. So, but we did investigate those opportunities, and hopefully we'll be able to do some work with our the SFA team to at least take advantage of the opportunities that might exist.
Okay. Rick?
I met with Carl a couple of weeks ago concerning the forms. Primarily our committee works with groups that are soliciting money from the CVB to promote their various events and projects. And I never had any idea how many forms could have been developed over the years for this issue, but Carl and I weeded through those big time, and we've got together what I think are forms that are very usable and workable, not only for the board, but for the groups. We didn't want to make it so difficult that the money they were requesting would be more than offset by the time they spend on filling out forms. So we've simplified that. I'll present that to our committee, and then we'll bring that to the board next month.
Appreciate it. Kelly?
Well, we did have our first meeting in January. This is for board training and development, and a lot was discussed there, and a lot was suggested that required follow-up, input, and questions answered by our CVB staff, city staff, and elected officials. So I think we've gotten all those things done now, and we're ready for our second meeting, which is set for April 13th, where I feel some decisions can be made by the committee members. We have some updates, though, on some of the things that we did decide to do during that time. And one of the things I think we can all look forward to is Mike Bay's email invitation to sign up for volunteer time in our visitor center. He's included the board in that. And that was one of the suggestions that the committee made, to put that as a requirement for board members to serve 3 hours a quarter in the visitor center. Obviously, this would help provide staffing when it's needed, but also it's a really good way for our board members to become more familiar with what goes on the weekends here at the CVB. I've been able to do this a couple of times, and it's been an enjoyable experience. It's been a learning experience. You'll learn things like people travel around to get a stamp for the El Camino Real locations. We have a stamp upstairs. It's like a little passport book. People are doing this. And you'll learn more about what the CVB has for sale. So you can, be more familiar with that, and it might help you out some ways. I've been able to apply that in my other job, just knowing what the CVB had here. So there's a couple of different really good reasons. So this email's really nice. It will also give you an idea of who else is signing up to volunteer for us. And I think that's important as well, to see who else in our community is contributing their time. So just look for that. It's very easy to use. It's one of those little click, whatever time works for you best. And Mike will be very good to send you a reminder when your time comes. But it is really enjoyable. And what I've just learned, I guess within the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, is our junior forum group has gotten involved with this as an organization. So I've gotten to make some friends with them through this as well. So you can make more contacts as well. Another thing that was suggested was that additional volunteer service can include working CVB events. I'm going to change that word events. That was made probably by Judy and Pam when they were involved with the organization, of course, the CVB was producing events, and I think we've moved away from that. But after talking with Carl and the staff, I understand that some of these groups that come in for their big meetings here in Nacogdoches, sometimes there is support needed for that. So we want the staff to know that you can always call on directors. You know, maybe it might be volunteering to help at the event, but there might be other resources or things that the board has access to that you could find helpful with these certain interest groups. So just keep that in mind. Also, over the past month or two, I've received suggestions by my fellow directors. So I just want to make that clear that if you have a suggestion, a concern for board development and training, please make that known to me, especially before April 13th, when we will meet again here. And I expect to have quite a bit more to show you at that time.
I've heard a couple of things that are coming out of Kelly's committee, and I just wanted to say that I anticipate that board members are going to need to set aside a little time this summer to really focus on some long-term strategic planning and making sure that collectively as a board we know where we want to go. And I think her group is getting us set up really well to do those things.
I think we're going to be stronger.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Carl, that's you. I'll let you.
Okay. Well, as reported last month, we through February we had about 11 meetings that had taken place. I believe it was with an economic impact of about $2,300,000. Through February to July so far, we have 13 confirmed bookings with about 2,141 room nights booked and an economic impact of about $940,000. Our Facebook page is really taking off. As of yesterday, we had 8,026 followers. I think this time last year we had about 600. So it's really taking off. We're very excited about that. And website had 8,074 unique visitors in February versus 1,447 last year, for a 458% increase. So the website is really being viewed, and it is exploding, and we're every month. It's always exciting to give the board the updates on it. Other good news is 79.5% of those looking at the website are new viewers. So that's very good news. We had 700 inquiries for information just in February. It is quite remarkable what's taking place. We had a little bit of a downturn in our walk-ins for February. We had 959 in February versus 1,053 last year, which was about a 9% decrease. But if yesterday was any indication, March will be much better, because as of we had approximately 79 people walk in, I believe, on Monday, and yesterday with a bus tour we had 182. So it is definitely springtime and people are moving around. We completed all of our marketing plan priorities through February. We have a full page ad in the February Texas Highways magazine, which is at the very back of your packet here. We presented our report to the City Council last week. The City Council would like a little more detail, and so we're going to try to set up a meeting with the staff or one of the City Council members to find out exactly where they want us to go with that, and so that we're on their page and we're on moving forward the way they would like us to. Another thing we have started is we've started our online surveys using constant contact information from walk-in guests that have registered, which is going to be on page 29. And I wanted to bring that up because Tracy had mentioned that, I think, in our first meeting. She thought we probably needed to number our pages, which we have started doing now. So you might want to check that out. It's kind of interesting information. As we get more people signing in, we'll have hopefully better response. And let me just take a moment to thank Joanna for this past week. She went above and beyond with the Major League Fishing Tournament. She spent, I couldn't tell you how many countless hours working with the people, starting at 4:30 in the morning, in some cases going into the evening. For those of you that are not aware, the Major League Fishing Tournament was here for a week fishing in 4 of the area lakes. It is going to be broadcast on CBS starting June 24th. It is going to be a great asset to us. They raved about our town. They raved about the help that they got. And actually, the general manager of this group is actually, I think, coming back in a couple of months.
There's a few of them coming back.
Yeah. So, anything you wanted to add to it? I mean, you're the one that took care of it. I know we've got here that she worked with a local media were scheduled, local destination interviews were created, and meet and greet events were hosted at the Clear Springs restaurant. It was great. It was fantastic. If we can continue to get those kind of deals, I think you're going to see a great impact for us from our heads and beds. Okay, winery scheduled to open April 1st, Front Porch Distillery to open May 11th, and tours and packages are being created. Merchandise for both will be promoted via social media as giveaways to promote their upcoming openings. We hosted the Nacogdoches Film Festival VIP party at the Welcome Center and party in the pit with the host hotel of Holiday Inn Express. That went very well received. We have a collaboration with the Expo Center to offer group room rates and special food discounts at participating area restaurants now in place. A landing page has been set up on the website for the Texas High School Rodeo Association, which is a 10-weekend event at the Expo Center. The next event that we have, we're also going to try to do, this is going to be a model. We're going to try to use this so when people come in for the expo, we have this package set up. We have a microsite, I believe, set up for them so they can go in, and if they come in with, they go into participating restaurants, which are on the microsite, they'll be able to get certain discounts and so forth. So we're trying to make that available to all of them. We created the Old Stone Fort Bike Ride landing page promoting room rates and special food discounts, again, using the same formula. Joanna is working with the Blueberry Festival Committee to expand the festival to a full weekend event beginning Thursday night and running through Sunday, trying to get that one more night that we've been harping on. We've got new T-shirt designs with brand image, tone, and colors being developed. Sherry is working on the Blueberry Festival landing page, which, as we know, is coming up. Seems like screaming up on us, which is one of our major events, and we're very excited about it. Sherry is working on the extranet program that will allow stakeholders to go to their individual listings and make changes as needed. Must have approval of staff, obviously, for it to go live. And Joanna is to invite the stakeholders to the extranet launch. A schedule of webinars will be created for future training. Extranet launch is scheduled for March 30th. And I was asked to bring to the board's attention important upcoming deadline dates. So you will find that as a separate sheet. I'll go over it very quickly with you, but you'll be receiving this when I send out at least our monthly and probably on a weekly basis, because as we get closer into it, you'll want to be aware of it. But our board meetings obviously are listed. We will be giving a fiscal quarterly review at our next board meeting, which is one of the things that we have to do, and that'll be April the 19th. Our budget and marketing plan, last year we were a little behind the 8 ball. This year we have talked with the city, and we're making sure we're right on track. So you will be receiving the approval of the 2017-2018 budget and marketing plan on May 17th board meeting. Then the next month, June 6th, it will go before the City Council for their review. and approval. Board nominations will be coming up in the summer. June 21, board chair will appoint 3 members to the nominating committee. August 16th, no later than presents a slate of officers to the board, which actually can be done in July if you have it ready. And September 20th board meeting, no later than September board meeting, will a vote be taken on the slate of officers, and again, that can be done in August if it's ready to go. As Dr. Behringer just mentioned, Ms. Haney will be doing a CVB audit review for the 2015-2016 years on June 21st at that particular board meeting. So it won't take near as long to get this one done since she's really been involved in this all the way along. So we should be able to move along pretty quickly with that. Our next CVB quarterly report to the City Council will be July the 18th. And then the city manager will present the city contract to the City Council for approval at the September 19th City Council meeting. So that's kind of where we're at this point. Diana is also putting together a list for me of make sure that we have all of our accounting deadlines in place so that we make sure those are kept up to date and up to speed. And so that we're trying to make sure that we are following all the guidelines and keeping this thing on the right rail. And that sure is mine.
Thank you.
I want to thank him for this. This is going to make my committee very happy. Yes, this is great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the mystery tour group, real quick? Where are we?
Page 23.
It's a mystery, Tracy.
It is. What that means is they put them on a bus and they head out, and the folks that are on the bus don't know where they're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
When you're retired, Mark, you can do things like that.
If it makes you feel better, I asked too. I'm like, I had no idea. So it's kind of like when the fishermen came here, they didn't know where they were coming.
Okay.
It's the same with this. So it's a senior group that, you know, they jump on the bus because they're interested in just taking off, and here they're coming.
Okay.
From Arkansas.
Oh, well, from Arkansas, you can go anywhere and be happy. The data that we're getting on our economic impact calculator is great. I think it's going to be important moving forward that we use it to make sure that we're spending staff time and resources appropriately. I think there's probably some things on here that we're spending an awful lot of time on that don't bring the kind of return that other things do. So ideally, moving forward, we'll be able to target those things a little more carefully and make sure we're spending our time and resources where we're getting the best return. Thanks for all your work. It does matter. Just a heads up for board members, I anticipate that we will have an interim meeting between now and the 19th of April as a workshop on budget and marketing plan. I think that it's important that board members be involved, not just in receiving those, but in developing those. So I'll ask Carl to schedule that sometime in the near future. There being no other business before this board, I will designate the time and location of the next scheduled meeting as Wednesday, April 19th, right here in the basement of the Charles Bright Visitor Center. And nobody has anything else for the good of the team? We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.